How many of you have or know someone who has a dog? Now, how many of you are thinking about getting a dog? About 78 million dogs are owned in the US today. But how many of these dog owners actually thought about the different options they had for getting a dog, or considered the things they needed, or just normal things to consider when getting a dog? All these are very important information to have before actually getting a dog, and that is what I am here to teach you about today. So first off, I want to talk about the different options and things that go into these options for getting a dog. The two main ones I'm going to talk about are getting a dog from a shelter or getting a dog from a breeder. So, according to the Pet Products Association, about 34% of dogs are gotten from breeders, and another 23% of dogs are gotten from shelters or a humane society. The big difference between these is a money thing. So, according to Forbes, dogs from a shelter can cost about $50, and that's just paying for fees and making sure that dog is okay and ready for you to take home with you. Whereas a breeder, it's a lot more expensive. A breeder can cost about $600 or more. This is because you're paying for a service. You're paying for this person to breed the dogs and make sure the dog is ready and taken care of for you for about 2 months before you actually even get the dog yourself. That person is paying for food, vet visits, toys, a whole bunch of interactions, puppy pads, so many things before you're even getting the dog that you're having to pay them for that service. So I would take into consideration the amount of money you are willing to spend just for that dog, not even including the additional expenses that may come in the future. Another big thing to consider when getting a dog is the finances about it. Dogs require a lot of food, toys, treats, vet visits, maybe some illnesses that you don't know are going to occur. This is a huge thing. So, according to the American Kennel Club, the average cost of a dog is estimated by size, but for the smallest dogs, it can cost just under $14,500 all the way up to $16,000 for the lifetime of a dog. This is because you're paying for a lot more food for bigger dogs than you are for little dogs, but you're also having to consider that every dog needs food, every dog needs toys because they need to get their energy out, but also every dog needs training in the beginning of their lives. So you're maybe going to need to pay more for treats or maybe some classes to train them if you can't do it yourself, but you're also going to need to pay for the little necessities that they're going to need. So I would take into consideration if you're willing to take on that financial burden at this time in your life. Another thing is, my family, we have 2 dogs now, but when I was growing up, we did have just 1 dog, but my parents had this dog before they even had me or my sister. So at this point, I wasn't very aware of the planning process or the decision making that went into getting a dog. I was just like a little kid who was like, cool, I have a dog. I feed the dog sometimes, I walk him, he's just my little friend to play with. I never considered all of the things that actually went into taking care of that dog or getting that dog in the beginning. But after we sadly lost that dog, my parents, after 4 years, were like, okay, it's time we can get another dog. Well, we actually ended up getting 2 dogs, but I was old enough now to where I was able to be a part of this decision-making process and figuring out what we wanted and how we were going to take care of this dog. But it's different. So my parents, we decided to get 2 dogs from a breeder. Now I know that's not a great option for everybody. It can be very expensive. We did try looking at shelters, but my parents wanted a specific type of dog. We like golden retrievers. So it's harder when you're looking for a specific type of dog to get it from a shelter or a humane society. But with our personal experience, that is what we ended up doing. But I didn't realize until going through this process how much was actually needed. We did have more time since we did go through a breeder. We had 2 months of planning and preparation for these dogs actually. So we had more time to get food, to get treats, to get leashes and a puppy pen to train them. And as I was older, I was able to now learn from my mom what I needed to do before these dogs came. I had to help set up their puppy pen. I had to help get everything together for when we had to go get them and get leashes and collars and name tags. And then we also had to register our dogs with the state. Now, I didn't know if this was something that I just didn't know and it was just common knowledge for a lot of people, but you actually do have to register your dogs with the state, and that is a big part of something I didn't know. So that's a good thing to know. It's also really important to take into consideration the living situation you have. So my family, me and my sister, we play volleyball. So we travel a lot during the spring months. Like as of right now, I was just in Atlanta. But considering we have 2 dogs, it's hard to find dog sitters sometimes. And that also costs more money as you need to pay those people to take care of your dogs. So we have people come stay at my house. Luckily, we have family friends who are willing and able to do so, but also taking into the consideration some people may not have that and may have to put their dogs in a puppy kennel or a puppy class for a few days, which is also another financial risk. I would also consider your livelihood. So if you're with a family, I would consider, the time you have with your kids or how big your kids are. Maybe a smaller dog would be better for little kids, or a dog that just needs to get their energy out. They can run around, play with each other. I know a lot of older people like to consider having smaller, more mellow dogs as that fits their needs. They are able to care a little bit more for that dog, but they're also just able to have that little companion with them. Back to my family, we have bigger golden retrievers, but that is also because me and my sister are older. They aren't extremely rowdy, but they do have their moments. But since there's 2 of them, they like to play around. I would also consider that when you're getting a dog. If you have the time to spend more time with your dog, you may not need to get a little friend for them because you're always around. But sometimes if you're not, I would consider having a friend in the house for that dog so your dog isn't lonely when you're at work or at school or wherever. More often than not, dogs need a friend or just a person with them a lot so they aren't sad and lonely. But overall, these are huge things I would consider. So in conclusion, dogs there's a lot to consider going into getting a dog. It's not just, I want a dog and go get that dog. There's money, decisions to be made in getting a dog, like what type of dog you want, how many you need, whatever that may be. But there are multiple things to consider. This is not the same. Every decision is not the same for every single situation. I may choose to get a dog from a breeder while someone else may choose to get a dog from a shelter. It is a personal decision, but the factors going into that decision are most of the time the same. Overall, I would like to leave you with a quote. It is, "Preparation is the key to success" by Alexander Graham Bell. Thank you for listening.